Well, let me show you my Primark Freedom berries. This is a few weeks after I fertilized them. I put some 5-4-3. It's an organic, complete organic fertilizer from Haas. Probably 3 weeks ago. I'll look it up and put it on the screen right about now as to when I fertilized them. But I tell you what, it really kicked these things in high gear. Got a lot of new canes. That's a new cane. That's a new cane there. I mean, tons of new cane, but the old canes are just going crazy. The ones that I had already pruned or nipped off, shoot, they have just gone crazy and grown 2 or 3 feet. It's kind of hard to stay up with them. Like this one here. I'm coming through and pruning. This one I let get away with me. It was about a foot or 2 taller than this right here. Pruned it a few days ago and it's already starting to lateral. Right there you can see. Should be able to see that right there. Lateral a little bit. And I tell you what, these are looking really, really nice. That's just pretty much, I just call it a hedge of blackberries. And these are in containers, as you can see. If you've been following me, you know that. If you haven't, and you're looking for a way to grow blackberries that aren't quite as permanent. In other words, you're maybe a renter or something like that, and you would like to be able to take with you the things that you are growing. This is a marvelous way to do that, is by using tubs, containers. In this case, these are wicking tubs, and if you don't know what a wicking tub is, I've got a full playlist on how to build them, where to find them, everything on wicking tubs. It's about an 18 to 20 gallon tub. It doesn't have holes drilled in the bottom. It's got a wicking hole on the side, a weep hole on the side. And the water, because of the way it's built with some things inside it, you'll have to look, seeing how they're built, it wicks the water up through. Well, I've found that they're just amazing for blackberries. This is my 3rd year for blackberries, 3rd year for these Primark Freedoms in these wicking tubs. And I just, man, I don't see a downside. You know, the only downside, they take a little more care. This one here, that is a, sucker's grown. I need to trim him off. They take a little more care in that, and I've said this before, and I know I'm redundant to some of you folks. If it's in a container, it's kind of like they're a baby, a little infant. If it's going to eat, you're going to have to feed it. If it's going to drink, you're going to have to give it a drink. Now, if you get rain all the time, you don't necessarily have to worry about water. If you're in a place that gets snow and stuff like that, then you're probably okay during the winter, because they do go pretty much dormant in the winter. They may not lose all their leaves. They might not lose all their leaves, but they pretty much go dormant to where they don't use a lot of water to stay viable. But I've got a drip system on these, and I guess what I'm saying is I can tell a huge difference in these since I fertilized them. Now, instead of the organic, I could have gone 10-20-10, which is what I normally do, or 13-13. I do that too this time of year. And what I'll do typically is come through here once they've produced their main crop, which is the spring crop, which is over usually here at the end of June, something like that. And then they'll start making the they call it a fall crop. I call it more of an ever-bearing crop, and I've got just a few examples of that. We came through such a hard drought, hot weather that I didn't get a lot of blooms, but I've got a few coming on, a few blooms that have made on these, and but not so many that I have to worry about you giving it that middle number, that 10-20-10. The phosphorus, because I'm just not as concerned about blooms right now as I am about growth, because the growth I get this time of year is growth that will be needed to produce berries for next year. So right now I'm more concerned about physical growth of the canes and the laterals, because that is where your berries are going to come next year. So keep that in mind and make sure you're feeding them, especially if they're in containers. Make sure you're feeding them well. You want to eat pretty much every day. I do, several times a day, unfortunately. And these folks need to eat too. So if you can put a time release in there, or if you can put a, even just, like I say, just a triple 13. I've got videos of what I do to fertilize them, but basically I just, in the round tub there, I'll put it in 3 or 4 places, like there, and in that corner up there, or maybe just do a 12, 6, 3, 9, and just put maybe a tablespoon of triple 13, something like that in there. If you can, kind of mix it in with the soil. Mine are just so root bound, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Since they reproduce from the roots, I don't think that being, quote, root bound is necessarily a bad thing in blackberries, because that's where you're going to get your new canes from, is from the roots. Now, if these were in the ground, they'd be running out here, and I'd have blackberries coming out here 2 or 3 feet away from them, and I just have to either dig them up or and try to repot them. This time of year is not a great time to do that; it's too hot, or have to do something else with them. So that's why one reason I like the containers. I just don't have to worry about them spreading like that. I started 3 years ago not knowing if it was a thing, and I tell you what, it's a thing. So they're doing good, but fertilize your blackberries. Most places say fertilize them right before fall, and if they're in the ground, that may be enough. Just one-time fertilize in the fall, or after they make their berries in the summer, go ahead and fertilize them, and let them use that fertilizer to build a good root system and to get some top growth. Top growth is what you want right now. That's your growth for next year. That's where your berries are going to make next year, is on that growth. Whatever growth you're putting out this year, right now, this summer, and this fall before it turns cold, that is going to be where your berries form next year. Your blooms and your berries going to form there next year. So make sure you get plenty of top growth. Make sure you get plenty of growth. Now, these are the Primark Freedoms. I'll show you the Poncas in another video. Not real happy with the Poncas. A guy just emailed me about, he sent me a picture of his blackberry plant, and he had, I think, if I remember right, just one plant, and it came up and had 2 or 3 canes. The canes looked good, except one cane was dying. And I told him, I said, from time to time, I'll have that too. I'll have a cane come up, look great, leaf out, look fantastic, and then all of a sudden it just shrivels up and dies. And I don't know why. Anyway, just wanted you to see the look that I'm getting here. I've got some weeds in it. I don't know what that's called, but it's easily pluckable. In fact, I think that might be called hen's bit. And that's pretty much how you weed a container. It's that easy. But get you some berries, put them in containers if that's your thing, if that's what you want to do. If you've got them in containers right now, and even if you don't, if you're in the dirt, go ahead and fertilize them. I'm going to fertilize these again, because I think it's been 3 or 4 weeks. And I'll fertilize these again pretty doggone soon. I try to do about maybe once a month until the weather starts breaking. It starts getting, in the 40s at night, something like that, and then I realize they've done pretty much all they're going to do. So I'll stop fertilizing in probably October, maybe, something like that. So anyway, it just don't get no better than that. Look down there and see that big old hedge of blackberries. Me likes it. Me likes. All right. I think that's it. We're gone.